What's up, guys? UFC 317. What an amazing card. This is one of those cards that there's nothing in this planet that would stop me from watching it. I actually hate that it's Monday because, it means I still have to wait till Saturday before this event, and usually that makes my week drag. But whatever. Let's get to it. UFC 317. Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, and let's get started. Oliveira versus Topuria. I have Ilya Topuria knockout round one. And I don't mean TKO. I mean like full on knockout. Like Oliveira's going to be out cold. This is, in my opinion, it's just a bad matchup for Charles Oliveira. In my opinion, Topuria is the better striker, the much more powerful striker. That's not even debatable. The only thing that I would say Oliveira has maybe, as far as the striking, better than Topuria is kicks. Like Oliveira will throw push kicks, high kicks, and Topuria is like 90% boxing. And he'll throw a few leg kicks every now and then, but primarily he attacks with boxing. Not only do I think Topuria is a better striker, but when you combine that to the fact that Oliveira is not exactly Mr. Iron Chin, and when he gets touched, he gets hurt, and he goes down. So when you have a suspect chin and you're fighting someone like Topuria, like you better hope that he doesn't connect, and I'm pretty sure he is going to connect. If you look at Charles Oliveira's fights, even some of his wins against Gagey, Poirier, the first fight against Chandler, they'll drop him, but they're afraid to jump into his guard. Like they're afraid to jump and finish it because they give his guard too much, his jiu-jitsu too much respect, and they let him get up. Oliveira ends up winning those fights. But if you look at Oliveira versus Makhachev, for example, Makhachev dropped him, jumped on his guard and submitted him. I don't see Topuria going for a submission, but I can totally see Topuria dropping him with a punch, and when Oliveira is down, he just finishes him with ground and pound. Topuria is coming from a very competitive fight against Holloway, where he knocked him out in the third round. I picked Topuria to win by knockout. You can watch my video. I talk about how Max Holloway, even though he's never been knocked out, I've seen him get rocked by guys that don't punch as hard as Topuria. And if they can rock him, then Topuria can definitely not only rock him, but hopefully knock him out, and then he did. It was a very competitive fight, though. Like, if you judge the fight from start to finish, all the way up until the very end, it was very competitive. Some people think it was 1-1. Other people had a 2-0 Topuria, 2-0 Holloway. But yeah, Topuria knocked him out in the third round. Charles Oliveira is coming from absolutely dominating Chandler for basically 4 rounds out of the 5 rounds. He basically out-grappled him and pulled a decision. Props to Chandler for surviving those submission attempts. The only chance I give Charles Oliveira in this one is a puncher's chance, or I don't want to say lucky submission because we're talking about Charles Oliveira, but if Oliveira's going to win by submission, I see it by he drops Topuria with something, and then when Topuria is down, hurt on the floor, Charles jumps, locks something in, and he submits him. I do not see Oliveira being able to take him down, out-grapple him, and then submit him. I think it would be more of, like I said, like a chain, kind of like he hurts him, drops him, once he's on the ground, locks in a submission, gets the finish. Or even a lucky punch, a puncher's chance as well. He could land a head kick that just knocks Topuria out, but I don't see that happening. Officially, I have Topuria knockout round 1. If it was up to me, I would have rather see Topuria versus Sarukian. I would have been way more excited for that fight, but I like this one too. So Topuria by knockout. Before that, we have Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. This one is tough. Like, I don't want to say, I don't like saying 50-50, so I'm going to say 51-49. I am picking Pantoja to win by decision, but not confident at all. Kai Kara-France could very well upset on this fight. If Kai Kara-France shows up with his takedown defense as good as it's ever been, and forces Pantoja to have a kickboxing fight with him, he could very well win this fight and make it look somewhat easy. Again, it's gonna come down to how good of a takedown defense Kai Kara-France has for this fight, because I do think he is a better striker. Kai Kara-France is coming from knocking out Steve Erceg in the first round. It was competitive. I thought Kai Kara-France was winning overall, and then about 4 minutes into the fight, he knocks him out. But somewhat of a competitive fight up until that point. Pantoja is coming from submitting Kaya Sakura in the second round. A fight that he really dominated. Like, Kaya Sakura had nothing going on for Pantoja. I always question why he got that fight in the first place. I guess because he was the champion from Risen, and they were like, oh, let's give him a straight title shot. But this is when I talk again, UFC level, right? You got the champion from this organization, and he didn't do anything. Pantoja dominated him, submitted him in the second round. I am picking Pantoja by decision. It could very well be a boring fight where there's a lot of humping against the cage, taking you down, but not doing much. But at least I took you down, therefore I win the round. Because I would say, right, there's no way Pantoja is coming into this fight with the game plan, okay, I'm going to have a kickboxing fight with Kai Kara-France, because that would be dumb. There's just no way. And Kai Kara-France is coming with saying, knowing, okay, I'm the better striker, I need to keep it standing and, win on the stand-up. But I am my official pick is Pantoja by decision, where he will make it boring, where, push against the cage, clinch, a takedown, maybe Pantoja, Kai Kara-France gets up, repeat. But again, not confident at all. Kai Kara-France could very well upset and win a decision here. Before that, we have Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Joshua Van is coming from destroying Bruno Silva in his last fight just a few weeks ago. Terrible call from me. I actually picked Silva to win, and Joshua Van destroyed him in the third round. Up until that point, I said, who has he beat? And even now, I say, well, who has he beat, right? He's beat no one that is ranked. At least as far as I know, none of his wins are ranked people. This is a huge step up in competition against Brandon Royval, who's ranked #1. So if this is crazy. Like, if Joshua Van wins this one, it's such, who would have seen that, right? That this guy who was fighting a whole bunch of unranked people now beats the #1 guy. Royval is coming from beating, what was this guy's name? Tatsuro Taira in a split decision. A guy that was undefeated up until that point. He was 16-0 up until he fought Royval. A very competitive fight. It was split. It had everything. It had striking, grappling, and Royval showed that he'll push the pace and he'll grapple. And I am picking Royval by decision as well. I just think the level of competition that he's fought, like, the guy has fights against Pantoja, Brandon Moreno. I mean, look at these guys, right? These guys are former champions, both of them. Both just fought for the title recently. I just think Joshua Van is taking this one on short notice because he has nothing to lose. He really doesn't. If he wins, if he loses, it's like, okay, so what? I lost to the #1 guy. I took the fight on days' notice. However, if he wins, he just beat the #1 guy. I do think that Joshua Van is young and has a lot of potential in the UFC. However, I don't think he's ready for the #1 guy. So I am picking Brandon Royval by decision. I think Joshua Van will put a good of a fight where I don't see Royval just walking through him. But I think he will get a clean decision, probably at 30-27, where he'll just do a little bit better than Joshua Van. Before that, we have Beneil Dariush versus Moicano. Beneil Dariush is coming from getting knocked out a year and a half ago against Sarukian. in the first round, about a minute into the fight. For the longest time, I thought it was the knee that knocked him out. But then when I rewatched it, the knee didn't even land clean. Like, if you go watch that fight, it lasted a minute and 4 seconds, and Sorokin throws a knee that, again, when you first see it, it looks like that's what got the knockout, but it was actually a right hand. So as his knee's coming down, he throws a punch that just knocks Dariush out cold. Like, he was out. Moicano is fine. These guys were actually supposed to fight. However, Sorokin got injured, and then Moicano replaced him against Makhachev. God, I was so disappointed for that fight, because I was really looking forward to Makhachev versus Sorokin. Sorokin gets injured, Moicano fought Makhachev, and then Dariush didn't fight. So now they're just making this happen again. So Moicano is coming from getting submitted by Makhachev in the first round. No shame in that. I mean, he took that fight on hours' notice. He had a few moments here in the stand-up, but the moment this hit the floor, you know, it happened what happens every time you fight guys like Makhachev, right? He eventually out-grapples you, passes all your position, passes your guard, submitted him. I'm picking Moicano by TKO. I think Dariush, even though they're the same age, Dariush just looks old. He looks like age has caught up to him. The guy has been knocked out a lot of times. And the layoff, that 1.5-year layoff for a 36-year-old versus a guy in Moicano who, I mean, if you look at Moicano's recent performances, right, up until the Makhachev, which you cannot fault him for it, Benoit Saint Denis, he destroyed him. Jalen Turner, he dominated him. Drew Dober. These guys, I would actually pick any of those 3 guys to beat Moicano. I'm sorry, I would pick them to beat Dariush if they were to fight. I'm picking Moicano by TKO rounds. I'm going to go with round 2. I think he will catch Dariush with something, and I don't think his chin can hold up. So Moicano TKO round 2. And then the opening is Peyton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. Peyton Talbott got exposed in his last fight. And see, I'm not the type of guy that says that when you lose a fight, it means that you got exposed. But he lost to 38-year-old Barcelos, who's not even ranked. He was, what, minus 1,000 for that fight? Something insane. And it's not like he lost a controversial decision or a fight that, you know, it was, you know, controversy. He got dominated every single round, I think, against a guy who's not even ranked, and is 30 years old. So it's probably, you know, on the way out. And he got dominated. Like, basically, he had maybe a little bit of a moment here and there, but overall, he couldn't do anything. He's fighting Felipe Lima, who I'm picking Felipe Lima to win. I think Talbot, I mean, he destroyed a whole bunch of nobodies. The moment they gave him on paper, not even a huge step up in competition, he couldn't do anything. I think Felipe Lima is the better striker, the better grappler. I can't remember who he fought last time, but I remember he looked good. I'm running out of time here, guys. I only have, for whatever reason, I've said this before, my phone only gives me 15 minutes, or else he won't let me upload it. But anyways, I got Felipe Lima by decision as well. And then one of my underdogs for that, I got Jack Hermansson by, I think he upsets Gregory Rodriguez. Rodriguez is coming from losing to Cannonier, where after round 1, he couldn't do anything. He was completely gassed. Jack Hermansson doesn't get tired, and you watch his last fight against Pfeiffer, while the other guy got tired, he just keeps going. I see this fight playing out that same way, where the first 5 minutes is going to be like crucial 5 minutes for Hermansson, but I think he survives. He turns it around and he beats Gregory Rodriguez. He might even get a TKO in the later rounds, but I'm going to go with Hermansson by decision. All right, guys, so I have Topuria by knockout round 1. Pantoja by decision, however, not confident at all. Kai Kara France could very well upset. I have Brandon Royval by decision. Moicano by TKO round 2. Felipe Lima by decision. Jack Hermansson, one of my upsets by decision, or maybe even a late TKO. All right, guys, have a good one.